Good morning and welcome to my thought for the day. It's a beautiful day looking out the window here. There's stunning blue skies, looking across the trees nearby, the miniature forest, and it's beautiful and stunning, the greens, and the colours seem so vibrant at the moment. They say it's because it's the lack of pollution from the cars. Whatever the reasons, it's beautiful. And also, Louise and I have noticed the birds. There seem to be a lot more small birds around. We've been watching finches, dunnocks, sparrows, blackbirds, you name it, seem to be out in the garden. And the voices of their singing and the pigeons, magpies, the sheer variety, and other animals we've seen as well these last few weeks. And yet, this last 3 months has been a complete upturning of our lives. And I don't mean just with coronavirus, where we're in a lockdown situation where our movements are restricted and the things we took for granted are no longer able to do them. But for me personally, having been going through consultants and this low-grade cancer I'm now being diagnosed with, my life is different because I don't know what it holds for me in the future. I mean, this morning at 6:45, I left my house to go to the hospital on my own. Hardly any cars in the road, and I had a bit of paper in my hand, and I went to have a sample of blood taken. 4 times this year and 3 times a year for the rest of my life, I'm going to have a blood sample to see what's happening. Now, the doctor says I'm not supposed to die of it, but we'll just monitor you. So this morning, I gave my first sample, and hopefully next week or so I'll hear the results and it'll be no change. But then again, when I went for the results of the regional test earlier this year, I wasn't expecting a problem and it came out of the blue. So, as Louis said, are you anxious? No, I say. But actually, I have a slight anxiety because it's unknown. If it's no change to what it was 3 months ago, then we carry on to the next blood test. But there is a change. It might invite more investigation, tests and visits to the hospital. And I've always been a well person. And suddenly, my life has been turned upside down. The family holiday we'd planned in, just about 8 weeks' time, we were going to the France with all our kids and grandchildren to have a big house and enjoy, planning as a celebration of my get to that grand age of 65, heading towards my retirement. Everything's been turned upside down. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I planned or thought. And that brings me to the psalm I want to read today. It's Psalm 62. It's a psalm which always personally encouraged me because it starts out with this first 2 verses, and he repeats it later on as if to say, no matter what life throws at me, I have to remember. Well, I'll tell you what, let me read it. Psalm 62. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. How long will you assault me? Would all of you throw me down this leaning wall, this tottering fence? Surely they intend to topple me from my lofty place. They take delight in lies. Within their mouths they bless, but in their hearts they curse. And the contrast. And suddenly the psalmist comes back and says, yes, my soul finds rest in God. My hope comes from him. Truly he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honour depend on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. Surely the low-born are but a breath, the high-born are but a lie. If weighed on a balance, they are nothing. Together they're only a breath. Do not trust in extortion or put vain hope in stolen goods. Though your riches increase, do not set your heart on them. One thing God has spoken. Two things I have heard. Power belongs to you, God, and with you, Lord, is unfailing love, and you reward everyone according to what they have done. This is a picture of myself. I'm about, I think, 19, 20 years old, something like that. And I know I haven't changed that much. Yes, I did have ginger hair. It was long, that was the trend, and it wasn't long as some people at that time. But I look back, it's just before I got married, and the innocence. The whole of my life was laid out before me. And here I am, 40 odd years later. Grey. My sister-in-law in Australia saw pictures of me at the wedding of my daughter and said, I'd never thought you would go grey, Barry, because you sound just the same. Not sure with my voice and the colour of my hair are linked. But yes, in those years, 40 years ago, there was an innocence. Unknown what was going to happen in my life. And now at 45, 46 years later, do you know what? Same thing. I don't know what's going to happen in my life for the remaining years while I'm here on this earth. I've no idea. But this psalm says, truly my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Truly he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. Yep, that's it. You really don't know what tomorrow's going to be, or next week, or next year. We've all seen things that don't go the way we intend. But one thing is consistent. One thing God has spoken. Two things I have heard. Power belongs to God. And with you, Lord, is unfailing love. And you reward everyone according to what they have done. And what I have done is accepted Christ as personal Saviour. And my reward, I'm going to heaven. Let that thought for the day rest with you. Bless you.